All right, The Walking Dead, Season 5, Episode 2. This one is called Strangers.
Yes. So this one opens with a dramatic walking montage where we see the characters, we see the smoke from Terminus, and then we see the characters walking up and over this hill very dramatically, and they're like coming in like pairs. And then we kind of see these like little flashbacks to what they were doing. I don't know, I guess like the previous, like during this day, during the previous day, you know, because it's like...
Yeah, it doesn't really clarify like when the
it's
flashback
just like,
is
yeah,
from.
at some point after they got out of Terminus and they've been walking away. Yeah, because like we see Carl and Judith and what's his name, Rick. And then we see Glenn and Maggie. Oh, and we see Rick and Tara. Like, I don't know. I think she says like, oh, I was with the governor, etc.
Right. I didn't know he was a bad man. He said you were a bad man.
Yeah, and Rick's like, yeah, it's okay. I'm kind of past that.
Yeah.
What with the cannibals and everything, and then they fist bump each other. And then they're like dramatically walking up the hill, and we see Tyrese and Carol talking about stuff and filling water bottles. I think they're taking forever to fill these water bottles.
Yes.
The first time we watched it, I thought they were like somehow filtering the water, and that's why it was taking so long. Like they made a crude filter, but no, they're just taking a really long time to fill them in this little stream.
And Tyrese looks kind of crazy.
He does. Yeah, and they're just like dramatically walking up and over this hill.
Yeah, they just keep going.
Yeah.
See some walkers. Keep going.
And like
it's kind of boring.
Yeah, it's just they're just going along. And, like they're all having these conversations around a fire. And just kind of like everybody's getting caught up throughout this entire thing. I don't know where Judith is supposed to be.
So like we saw Carl carrying her like at the very beginning.
Right.
But yeah, as like it continues on with like more walking and more walking, it's like, wait, where is Judith? Like we watched and we looked at every single one of them, and the only explanation that you came up with was that like Eugene is carrying a bag.
Abraham's carrying...
Was it Abraham? Oh, I thought it was Eugene. Okay.
See, like this duffel bag thing he's got?
Yeah.
I mean, because like no one is carrying her in the open. So, like, again, and then I guess, like, Carl is carrying something here.
Yeah.
I don't know if that...
I hope it's not.
No, I mean, like, hopefully not, because I mean, like...
I hope she's not in either of those bags, but...
No, I mean,
The only other thing that I could think of is if, like, she was in a carrier on Tyrese's back. But it looks like he's wearing a backpack, and I guess that could be like a baby carrier, but we haven't seen a baby carrier yet.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is possible. I think she has to be concealed somewhere. Like,
yeah.
I guess they just, they, like, got her used to being, like, transported inside something, but I don't know when they would have done that.
Right.
Because, like, the whole time she was with Tyrese, like, he was just like someone was carrying her. And so like if they've fashioned some kind of like baby carrying bag or something, like that's new. Like it's not like they were doing that the whole time.
And the real reason is probably because they just like shot this without a baby.
It's easier to just like not
time or something.
Yeah.
Like
It's easier to not have the baby there if they could somehow like
no one will notice.
With a reason. Yeah, I noticed. And so then they're just like walking through the woods, and then they come across this bunch of walkers who have somebody cornered up on this rock, and he's just like kicking and flailing, and he's like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? And and they're just like, okay. And so then they kill the walkers, and then they get him down, and he's a priest. And he seems kind of weird, and he's, like, kind of jittery.
He's from the show Oz.
He is, yeah.
Which he was weird and jittery on that show.
He was, yeah. Yeah. I guess he just plays... Because we never... like he was on The Wire. We didn't, you know,
Get
we didn't
far
continue,
enough into
yeah, to like, yeah. So I mean, he probably played a similar character on there too, where he has, yeah, because like Gabriel is pretty weird and like.
Well, like, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say he's like he alternates between different like types of weirdness throughout the show, and yeah, on Oz, kind of the same thing where he's
he's like a very different character, but like just weird and jittery. Yeah,
that's his trademark thing.
Yeah. It's like I can play a variety of characters as long as they're jittery.
Anywhere from weird to jittery. Yeah, he's like, my dramatic range is extensive.
Yeah.
I can play crazy. I can play paranoid. I can play... Yeah, I can play a priest. I can play a prison guard. Whatever I was on The Wire, I don't remember.
As long as they're weird and jittery.
And he's very, like... Yeah, he's just, like, behaving weird. Like, he seems very helpless.
Yeah,
he, like, throws
and he,
off.
like, has a weird sense of humor also. Which, like, I don't feel like that continues later on. I feel like that's just really this, like, first couple episodes with him while they're, like, trying to figure out his character.
I think that's true.
His character changes dramatically throughout the series.
Yeah, it gets a little ridiculous toward the end, I think. But yeah, and so he's just like, you got any food? And Carl gives him some food, and Rick's just like looking at him and like clearly doesn't trust him this whole time. He
asks his questions.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, how many people have you killed? And he said none. It's like, how many walkers have you killed?
And he said none.
I think he said none. It's like, why?
Yeah, I can't remember what he said. Like what he said for the reason, but yeah, and so then Rick's like Rick
super suspicious.
Him. Yeah, he's like very, you know, he's like not gonna trust him.
Yeah, how the hell did you get this far into like killing no walkers and like no people and no walkers? Like that's weird.
Yeah. How would his collar be so white after like,
it is
all this
super
time?
White. Like he must have like Tide to Go pens like coming out the wazoo.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, like, is it a material that I would think it would get dingy like after years? Because I mean, it's been like what 2 years or something, like in universe time, something like that.
So I could be totally wrong. For some reason, I thought it was like a little piece of paper that just like slips in there.
Well, I think you're right. I mean, I don't know if it's... I think you're right. I don't know if it's paper. I don't know like if that's always... You're right. It is like a separate piece of something that you like slide in there. That's true.
It could be like a fabric with like a... something that's making it shaped. Yeah, you're right.
No, but you are right. It is like, yeah. So I guess it's probably not like... Yeah, it's not like cloth, I guess. It's probably something else. But, yeah, and so then Rick frisks him, and then he's like, oh, do you want to come to my church? And so then he, like, leads him through the woods, and he's, like, telling, like, weird... He's like, he's like...
You guys are trusting, like, I could just be leading you to your death, or something like that. And, like, then he stops and he's like, sorry, I have a dark sense of humor.
I think he says, like, his parishioners tell him his sense of humor leaves a lot to be desired.
Yes, you're right, that's right.
Yeah, so then they, like, go to the church, and they go in, and they're, like, checking it out. Carol finds that I think he's trying to transcribe the Bible so he can make copies. Like, I think that's what he's doing here, is that he's, like, working on transcribing the Bible. I think it's very, like... Maybe it's an Episcopal thing? I don't know, but... This church, from what I'm remembering, looks very similar to the one in Alexandria later. Like, this just seems... I don't know. Maybe when we get to that point...
Yeah, I'll have to
it doesn't,
pay attention when we get there.
It just seems very similar. Yeah, and there's, like, canned foods in there. And, let's see. Yeah, and he's like, there's this canned food place... Or he's like, I got it from, like, this food bank that's somewhere nearby. But I think he was like, I couldn't get... Like, there's still food there left because there's walkers there. And, like, he wasn't willing to, like, do anything to them.
Yeah. And so Judith is magically back by this point.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. She's emerged from like the carrying bag or something. Yeah, and so then Rick and some of the others are gonna go get the canned goods, like go check that place out. And so then Rick is telling Carl, he's like, we don't really know what this guy's deal is, but you know, you can't trust him for a second. If you make a single mistake, he's gonna eat you, because I'm pretty sure everyone is a cannibal now. Like, I'm just defaulting to thinking
we're the only ones
everyone
that aren't cannibals.
Right. I don't even know about all of us. Like, you got to keep your eyes open all the time. I've been working on sleeping with my eyes open since we escaped.
How well
Terminus.
do we really know Abraham?
Yeah. He's like, is his hair? Did it start out red, or is it red from all the human blood like that he's eating?
Yeah, Rick does look like crazed. Like he looks old and battered and crazed.
He does. Yeah. So he's telling Carl, like,
keep your guard up.
You know, like, we can't trust anybody or we'll die if we make a single mistake trusting anyone. And I think Carl's like, oh, you know, there's a lot of bad people, but not everybody's bad. And Rick's like, thanks, that's super helpful.
He's like, also, your neck wasn't over a...
Right, like, yeah, Carl.
A slaughtering job.
Right, like, you didn't see the cannibals.
Right. You were just locked in the
car the whole time. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I saw things, son. I saw things.
Yeah, which I mean is fair.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and so then they like, let's see. So it's Rick, Bob, Gabriel, and Michonne. Yeah, and they go out to go get those canned foods, and then I think and then like Bob is also like, basically saying, hey, I know we were almost cannibalized, but, you know, whatever, like, everything's fine, man. Like, I think he's saying to Rick, like, everything's, like, gonna go back to the, you know.
Yeah.
He's like, when things go back to normal, like, when the world goes back to the way it should be, like, we have to still be, like, ourselves. We can't, you know, just be like totally survival minded.
I think there's also a few more people there. I think Sasha and Carol.
You're right. Mm-hmm.
Oh no. Were Carol and Daryl doing their own thing?
I don't know. Yeah, because Sasha is definitely with their group. Oh yeah, I think that's
Carol
right.
And
they
Daryl
went
out like
scrounging for supplies.
Okay, so
elsewhere.
Like who is left back at the church? Okay, so at the
Carl,
church there's
Judith.
Carl, Judith, Abraham.
Okay,
Eugene. I guess Rosita also.
Is Glenn? I guess Glenn is there. Glenn, Maggie.
And Maggie. Okay.
Yeah.
At first I was
I was thinking,
did they leave the kids alone?
Is everybody? Yeah.
No, you're right. That's not so bad.
But no, I was thinking the same thing. Yeah. So like, what's her name? Carl. No, Carol. Carol. Carol and Daryl are like, they like find this car and they find like a battery, like an emergency jump starter, in the trunk that still has a little bit of juice in it, which I don't buy.
Yeah.
I think it'd be, I mean, unless someone like coincidentally had just used this car, like somewhat, just abandoned this car somewhat recently, and like it had just been charged somewhat recently, and I think it's a little, because then Glenn and Maggie
and Tara.
Oh yeah, they're out scrounging just like
okay, so it's
places,
really just like Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita.
I guess so.
So like these three people, like
right, you don't know,
yeah, like you know the least. You're gonna leave with your son and daughter after telling them we can't trust anyone.
Yeah, that's kind of insane. I'd be like, no, like Daryl or somebody, like someone else has to like.
Well,
someone else has to
okay, so Tyrese.
Mm-hmm.
He must be there.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right.
But Tyrese is, like, unwilling to kill anything.
Right, like, what would he do if they turned out to be cannibals? Yeah, like, nothing. I mean, he just let himself be cannibalized,
right.
Yeah, no, but, like, that is kind of weird that, like, if I were Rick, I would not have...
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, like, sure, like, Glenn and Maggie would say they're good, which is, like, okay, but, like, I'm not just gonna...
But, like, I don't know them.
Right. Like,
I don't trust them.
You guys still don't know them that well. Like,
you guys have to, like, earn some stock with me before I'm going to let you just be around my kids.
Yeah,
like,
I think so. Okay, so I guess Glenn, Maggie, Tara are going to this gun shop. And they're looking for stuff in there. And I think, like, Glenn is in there. I don't know what the hell the girls are doing, why they just sent Glenn in alone. But, like, they hear something, you know, and they're like, oh, my God. And then he comes out and he's like, oh, I tripped over a mop or something?
Yes.
Something like that, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, I found some silencers in a fridge, but that's pretty much it, you know? There's, like, not that much left at the gun shop. So then they're at the food bank, and they, like, go in there, and the canned foods and stuff are down in some kind of, like, basement thing, like a lower area, and it's flooded and full of walkers who are, like, melting in the water.
Gross.
Yeah. And so then they're like, okay, we gotta go down there.
Sacrifice Gabriel.
It looks that way, yeah. Yeah, it's like, we gotta go down there and get them. I think, like, I don't know. I don't remember if they say something, like, why they don't just shoot the walkers. Because, like, they really should have, considering what ends up happening. You know? Spoilers, Bob gets bitten when they're, you know, when they're doing this stuff. Like, it's like, they really probably should have been more careful during doing this whole thing. Because they, like, go down there, and then there's, like, walkers in the water that they don't see, and they're like trying to bite them, and like shelves are getting knocked over, and Bob goes under the water. He gets like pulled under by a walker, and then they get him out, and it seems like he's okay. And so then they get some canned food and stuff, and then let's see, then they're bringing it back, and some Rubbermaids on like a cart. And then when they get back to the church, Carl is like,
hey, I found something.
He's like, I found something weird on the side of this church. He's like, I don't know if this means that Gabriel's a bad guy, but he's definitely hiding something from us. Boom, boom, boom. And it says, it's like scratched onto the paint. And it says, you'll burn for this. Yeah. And we don't know what that means yet. But yeah, then they have like a big dinner with their canned goods and stuff.
And all is good in the world.
Yeah, and Abraham is like, okay, let's go to Washington, you sons of bitches. I'm sick of this crap.
He does this big pep talk about, like, why we should all go to Washington together.
Yeah, and, like, let's see. I think they all pretty much agree, like, that they're going to go. I think they're, you know...
I could be wrong. I feel like Rick was, like, still kind of skeptical.
Yeah,
but...
I think not all of them were, like, totally on board. But a lot of them were like, yeah, okay, that's, you know, that's fair. And Maggie and Tara have, like, just like with Rick, where she's like...
Hey, do you know who I am?
Do you have any, like, facial hair removers or something? Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm very hairy. Yeah, and then Maggie's like, oh, Glenn, like, I know you saved Glenn, et cetera, like, you're okay in my book, you hairy bitch.
I know you were part of why my father died, but you saved my husband, so it's okay.
I don't know if you noticed, but he was the oldest man in the world. Yeah, like, let's see. Then Rick and Glenn, or not Glenn, Gabriel, Rick and Gabriel are like having a conversation. Glenbriel. Are like having a conversation. Rick's like, you don't mind us drinking your sacramental wine? And Gabriel's like, no, it's just wine.
Right,
it's just blessed.
Right.
Yeah, and then let's see, Bob is, oh wait, no, Carol's outside? Yeah, like, Bob's outside, and he's, like, acting mysterious.
And he's, like, crying.
Yeah, because he's, like, smiling. He's, like, looking at the church from the outside. He's, like, looking at it. He's kind of, like, smiling. And then he, like, walks over, finds a tree, starts sobbing. because of course he's been, you know, like the audience doesn't know this yet.
Right.
Like he knows he's gonna die now. That's an odd image. Yeah, he's making some interesting faces.
I literally can't tell what's happening in that frame.
Yeah.
It looks like he's wearing
he sort
a
of
mask.
looks like a rat man or something. Yeah,
it
no,
looks like he's wearing a mask.
Yeah, it's a very weird image there. He's like grimacing very strangely. He's making a very strange grimace. But yeah, so he's like crying, and you know, we don't know why yet. And then he gets
someone comes up from behind him.
Somebody in a hoodie like comes up and whacks him on the back of the head. And then like, I'm not sure what this, I don't remember if we get an answer about what this thing is. There's like a
gash
slash
in the tree.
Yeah, on the tree where Bob was like leaning up against it and crying. And like, I don't remember if there's a significance to that.
Either.
Like, I don't know if that's related to like Gabriel's thing, like the carving on the side of the church, or if that's just but the camera like lingers on it after he gets knocked out for like 30 seconds. So
then Bob starts coming to, and like he sees a fire and he sees people around the fire, and one of the first people it focuses on is the one that Tyrese said he killed. And so like, liar. But like, obviously Bob doesn't know that because he doesn't know who Tyrese said he killed.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And there's like, they're cooking something on the fire, and then what's this guy's name?
Which one? Gareth Cute Story? Yeah. This guy? Yeah,
he's like kind of telling him like,
he's like, hey, we just wanted to eat, or
you tasted better than we thought.
We just wanted to eat you, but now we're gonna make you suffer. Well, that's Irish. That's not what I meant to do. But yeah, so he's like, ooh, all we wanted to do is brutally kill you and eat you before, you know, but now we're gonna do weird stuff to you. And it's like his voice, and then we see like them happily celebrating in the church. Oh, that's right. And okay, so we didn't mention Gabriel. There was a walker in the food bank who was like his girlfriend,
who looks like Bernadette
from The Big Bang Theory. Yes. Yeah. And so like, and he was like traumatized by that when they went there, and Rick was like, you knew her, didn't you?
Yeah.
Then when this is going on with Bob, we like see Gabriel looking at a picture of them together, and she was like the organist in the church. I assume that's what you call someone who plays the organ.
I believe so.
Okay. But yeah, so then Garrett's just like going on and on and on.
Yeah, he's like, it's not personal.
Yeah.
But like, it is personal, obviously.
Also, it's like, he just must love hearing himself talk
so
much. Like, hearing himself talk and eating people are like his passions in life.
I think like when they put out looking for this character, they were like, must love monologues.
Yeah, must be able to sell monologues.
And then it zooms out so we can like see more of Bob, and his leg is missing, his left leg from the knee down.
Yeah.
And Gareth is like eating the meat.
And he's just going on and on about how tasty Bob is.
Yeah, it's like, you taste much better than we thought you would.
Yeah. And
this is where, I guess I could totally be wrong. I thought someone said like babies was their favorite, but...
Well, so I think that's next episode, and I'm 99% sure that what you're thinking of is when they say women taste better.
Okay.
Well, because I think I mean, and when we get there, we'll see for sure. But I'm pretty sure what you're thinking of is like, I don't know if it's Gareth, but like one of them is like monologuing about how all the details of what being a cannibal is like. You know,
probably Gareth.
Like who like it's just like, oh my god, like who cares? Like, write a book for cannibals of the future or something like. Yeah, but he's like just going on and on to Bob about like, hey, have you ever, what about that one kind of seasoning when you're eating human flesh and stuff? And, hey, have you ever noticed that human flesh makes you constipated? And like, but he, I think, okay, so what he's saying is like, hey, we all think that women taste better. Like whoever, one of these cannibals, like thinks it's because women have an extra layer of fat or like when they're pregnant. I think that's what you're thinking of.
Okay.
Because he says like for childbirth.
Okay. Well.
Which I mean does not make a lot of sense because I assume what he means is pregnancy.
Right.
But like, I think that's what you're thinking of.
I guess we'll see in the next episode.
Yeah. But like, so then we will. So yep. So it's just like Bob's been partly cannibalized now, and that's the end of that episode.